What's up, everyone? It's Friday, and I'm your guy. So, it's been crazy. Alright, I know I made my video last week and I uploaded it and I was talking about mental health and all that stuff. And so, I really do want to make that a big focal point of like my approach on this channel, because I don't think we talk about it enough. I think that our community needs to come together and really discuss that that's a big issue that we deal with. So I will be addressing that more often. And luckily for me, this week's topic kind of made it really easy for me to incorporate all of that into it. And so this week's topic, as you should know from watching everybody else's videos this week, is the hate or discrimination that we face, or any kind of issues within the community. And I'm going to split this into two different parts. So the first part is going to be the whole LGBTQIA plus community, and then the second is going to be the trans community, and that part is also going to be split. Just because I have a lot to say about this topic, because it's something that I kind of deal with a lot. So, first, hate from within the whole encompassing queer identity, any kind of sexuality umbrella. So, there is kind of a stigma when it comes to trans people within the LGBTQ plus community, and in the recent years it's kind of like gone away, because we're all trying to fight this good fight and get trans people their rights and everything, and it's really awesome that that's happening, but there are still issues that need to be addressed, like, for instance, gay men that won't date trans men because they're not real men in their eyes is a big problem. Also, I recently have found big problems in lesbians not allowing trans men to inhabit some of the same spaces that they have. And I understand that lesbian obviously is different than trans man, but there are also situations where, as a trans man myself, I feel more comfortable in situations with lesbians than I do with cis males. Just because for so much of my life, that was the community that I was based in, and that's where I grew and learned to really accept who I was. And there's also some comfort for a lot of us trans guys in the lesbian community, specifically because of the stud aspect of the lesbian community. The lesbian community and their studs really are the closest thing that you can get to a trans guy 99.9% of the time. There's more studs that I know that are passing better than some of the pre-T trans guys. And so in those situations, I don't see why it's so bad, because you allow the studs and they're fine for you, but the trans men, just because the label's a little bit different, it doesn't really make any sense, because a lot of studs have the same things that we do with the packers and the binders, and a lot of studs do that. And so sometimes it just doesn't make sense to me, and I just think people need something to be pissed off about, and I guess if trans men being in your spaces is something, then have at it, because it's not going to change. I also really, really, really disagree with the whole community wanting to remove the T from the acronym. I think it's really freaking stupid. One, because trans women of color helped build this community to what it is. The reason why we have pride is because of trans women of color. The reason why we're so celebratory and able to be who we are and to fight for the rights that we have, and to be able to show ourselves out in public and it not be a crime, is because of those trans women of color at Stonewall. And so you can try to remove the T from the acronym all you want, but if the T leaves, pride comes with us, Stonewall comes with us, all of the history comes with us, and you guys have to make your own. Because you can't remove the T, the thing that started this, and think that you get to keep all of the fun things that come along with what the T has provided you. As far as discrimination and hatred within the trans community, this is a whole mess. And I could go on for days and weeks and months about how bad it is getting, and it's just getting worse every single day. And it's more now a competition than anything else, than wanting to see your other brothers succeed or telling them how they could be doing something different or what they're doing wrong. But there's no wrong way to do this. Everybody's transition and everybody's journey is different, and just because it's not the way you did it doesn't mean that it's wrong. It just means that it's a different way. We're all different. Our bodies are different. What we want is different. I don't understand why there's a race or there's competition on who does what. Like, yeah, it sucks when I see... I've been on T for almost 3.5 years, 4 years. Yeah, sure, it sucks when I see some guy start T and 2 months later he has a full-grown beard and I can only get little puby, little wispies on my chin and this weird pedo stash. Yeah, it sucks. But I also know that if my beard is to come in, that will be at my time. And so, like, I'm not gonna get mad at him because his genetics just make it easier for him to grow a beard than it is for me. Like, what? That's stupid. That's a waste of my energy. I also really have been seeing a lot lately, a lot of the issues that have come across my life have been the split between the trans people of color and the white trans people. And there's been some problems there because, yes, we share the same trans struggles. However, being a trans person of color, whether that be black, whether that be Mexican, whether that be other parts of Africa, whether it be Middle Eastern, whether it be anywhere where you're not primarily white, any shade of brown, okay? Any shade of not white, any shade of anything, any spice that you have in you, anything, whatever it is, if you are not primarily white, is a whole completely different struggle. And me, as a person of color, who is also very privileged in their white passing ability, there's times when I have to check myself, because although I face discrimination because of that, I don't face discrimination as some of my darker counterparts. And I don't know what it's like to be that dark and to be targeted that way. I do know what it's like to be targeted as a black man because I'm still too brown to be white. But a lot of people think that I'm Spanish, and for some reason, people don't have as big of an issue with being Spanish as they do with being black. And so I'm not Spanish, but I've stopped correcting people. because, one, I get, well, you don't look black. Are you sure you're not Spanish? Or two, I get them talking to me in Spanish, which I can understand a basic conversation, but no, I cannot hold a conversation with your 60-year-old grandma who hails from Spain or Mexico or wherever primarily Spanish-speaking country. I don't know what she's saying, and I can't help you in the middle of Walmart find what you're looking for because I have no idea what you're saying. And yes, I do wish I understood you, and that's my fault for not, but not Spanish. And three, whenever they find out that I'm black, they're like, oh. And I just get the eyes like, oh. Like all of a sudden, because I'm not Spanish, I'm some kind of like threat to them, which doesn't make any sense to me, but people are idiots. And so I've just stopped correcting people because who cares? Who cares? I'm not trying to steal anybody's culture or not trying to say that I'm Spanish. I'm just like, yeah, whatever, and walk away because what's the point in correcting somebody for them to just treat me worse? There is no point. That's just stupid. So, just like, walk away. But I think as a community, we have to do better in being nice to each other because we have enough hate coming from the outside and enough non-believers and enough people trying to strip everything away from us that if we don't support each other, the only people who truly know what we're going through on an everyday basis, I don't know who will. And I don't know how we could ever make any big, huge changes. In the last, like 7 or 8 months, I have become very, very close to a lot of trans guys. Simply because with the struggles that I'm going through with my depression and my anxiety, the people that can relate to me the most and actually know what I'm going through are those guys. Because I can sit down and have a conversation with all my straight cis friends and sure they can understand like why I'm upset and why I feel the way I do, but to really be able to get inside that situation and understand why that was such a huge problem for me and why it sent me into the spiral that it did, or why I'm even upset about something sometimes, really has helped me deal with a lot of my dysphoria-based stuff, because somewhere in this community, somebody is going through close to the same thing you are. Yes, everybody's journey is different, but we all have stories. And there's 8 billion people in this world, and so there's no way that your story is 100% unique. Parts of it, yes, but 100%, there is somebody somewhere that is going through, if not exactly what you're going through, has already gone through it, or has gone through it in some aspect. And so that's really helped me not feel so alone in struggling with the things that I struggle with, because I know that my dudes are there for me and they really get it. And even if I can't talk to anybody that's around me, or I don't feel comfortable talking to people around me about certain things, because it is kind of hard to talk about certain things with people who just will never know what it's like to be trans, has really helped me. And I think we need to be more supportive of each other. And I think we as trans men have to be more supportive of our female counterparts on the trans women side and the non-binary spectrum, because they're struggling too. And we've been in their shoes where, I mean, we still kind of are in their shoes where, like, people are on the fence and they don't know what's going on, but we need to be the people to stand up and say, hey, you find us normal and you don't think we're freaks, or you don't think whatever they're saying, what's the difference between me and them. You know what the difference is? A pronoun. That's the only difference. And we need to be the driving force in that, because trans women have been the driving force in this whole community, and yet they're still getting shit on. And until we make that change internally in our community to help the people who started this whole movement get the respect and rights they deserve, we're never going to get anywhere. Think about it. But that's all I have to say. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Take care of yourselves. I know it's hard. It's crazy times. Take care of yourself the best you can, even if it's just something little. All right? I'll see you guys next week.